Alright, guys, so I am late to this story, I know, but I did want to cover it because I do think that it's kind of a big deal. Maybe even a bigger deal than some people are necessarily making it out to be, but Matt Reeves has come out on Twitter. That's not the thing that I wanted to show you. Here it is. Matt Reeves has come out on Twitter, and he's confirmed that he's finished the script for the Batman Part 2. So, the tweet says, partners in crime, in parentheses, fighters, and then he ats his writing partner, Mattson Tomlin. Now, we can't actually read what it says on the script there, because it's blurry, because they're keeping things secretive or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it says The Batman Part 2 by Mattson Tomlin, and some stuff at the bottom that I don't know. Maybe it's like based on the DC character created by Bill Finger, and I think there's another guy that created Batman. I don't remember. But yeah, so this might not seem like that big of a deal. It's like, oh, okay, so they finished the script. Who cares? But for one, we have been wondering what the hell's going on with this movie for years at this point. The Batman came out in like 2022. So it's been 3 years, and just now they're finished writing the script. The other thing is that there's been an open question of, will James Gunn even ultimately end up greenlighting this movie? Because, as we all know, James Gunn is starting a new DCU. Well, he started with Creature Commandos, but it's really starting with Superman, which is opening up later this week. And we know that there's going to be a Batman as a part of that DCU. They say that they're going to want 2 Batmen going concurrently. But are they actually going to go through with that? Should they go through with that? So the fact that Matt Reeves has come out like 2 weeks before the release of the new Superman movie, this says a lot in my opinion. What this tells me is that James Gunn absolutely intends on making this movie, because one of the points of speculation has been that James Gunn is waiting on, or Matt Reeves is waiting, or I guess they're both waiting on really ramping up, work on the Batman Part 2 until after Superman releases. Because if Superman is like super successful, then James Gunn can just cancel the Batman Part 2, right? Everybody's going to be hyped on Superman. Everybody's going to be hyped on the new DCU. And they're going to be more open to canceling the Matt Reeves Batman universe and starting anew with a DCU Batman. But if Superman flops, if this new DCU is dead on arrival, well, then you got to fast track the Batman Part 2, because the Batman actually was successful. The Penguin was especially successful. So what this tells me is that James Gunn is not thinking that in a 4D chess manner like that. He intends on making the Batman Part 2 regardless of if Superman is successful or not. Because you wouldn't reveal the script that the script is done 2 weeks before Superman if you were thinking that you were going to cancel the Batman Part 2 script and you were just going to scrap the project if Superman is successful. That just makes no sense. So that's pretty interesting. That's pretty exciting. The other thing is that if you're James Gunn, are you also maybe wondering, maybe we rope the Batman Part 2 into the DCU, right? Like, maybe Robert Pattinson Batman just ends up being the Batman of the DCU, because there are also, rumors, not positive rumors regarding the DCU Batman movie, Brave and the Bold. Like, director Andy Muschietti apparently has no idea what's going on with the movie. He's like said in interviews, or he's like, I don't know what's going on. We don't know. So it's like, what are you talking about? So it seems like at the very least, Andy Muschietti isn't directing it. We know that the script isn't done yet. It's taken them a while to write that script too. So that isn't still a possibility, right? That James Gunn wants the Robert Pattinson Batman and the Batman Part 2 to be a part of the DCU. Now, what do I want as a fan, as of right now, in 2025, 2 weeks before the opening of Superman? What do I personally want? Honestly, I think I would like for them to just rope the Batman Part 2 into the DCU, because I think it can work. Like, yes, the Batman was pretty realistic. It was more grounded in realism, but it wasn't entirely grounded in realism. Like, there were some fantastical elements to it, whether it be the like super sci-fi camera like contact lenses that allowed Bruce to record stuff, whether it be some of the more unrealistic things where like, Batman gliding down and then like crashing into a bridge and rolling on the street. It's like you would be dead. Many of your bones would be broken. So, well, yes, for the most part, the Batman was relatively grounded in realism. I think it could work that the Batman is in the larger DCU. That being said, would I be upset or would I be super negative on the idea that the Batman or that there are two Batmen in DC Studios running concurrently? Not necessarily, because I also think that the alternative could work. I think you could have two Batmen, and the way that I would do it is I'm going to Matt Reeves and I'm saying, hey man, you need to dive even further into the realism, right? Like, your shit needs to be super realistic, because over here on The Brave and the Bold, we're just gonna ramp up the fantasy and the sci-fi, right? Like, if the Robert Pattinson Batman, in the next movie is like fighting, I don't know, Hush, and it's just another serial killer or something like that. Well, in The Brave and the Bold, we're fighting Killer Croc. We're fighting fucking 10-foot tall crocodile monster. We're fighting freaking Ra's al Ghul, but he's like a zombie that came out of the fucking Lazarus pit or something, right? Like, we're going super far into the fantastical. And I think those two things could work simultaneously, and I think audiences could accept them as distinctly different things. Now, and James Gunn has talked about how that the tone isn't necessarily going to be super different. Like, The Brave and the Bold is still probably going to be a darker Batman. But I think that just the settings, the fantastical versus the realism, I think that could be enough to differentiate the two. Because I will say the other problem with having them be in the same universe is that, well, if we know that the Batman or that The Brave and the Bold was originally going to be a movie about Robin and Damian Wayne and the Bat family, like, we know that James Gunn wants to have the Bat family be a thing. Well, that would probably conflict with what Matt Reeves is doing, because his Batman is still relatively in his career, and do we necessarily want a time jump to that degree? I mean, maybe, considering the time jump in real life is kind of crazy. But yeah, so at the end of the day, I think that they are ultimately not going to... Yeah, my prediction is that I think they're going to try to do two Batmen, because at the end of the day, I do think that Matt Reeves probably has enough clout at this point that he can put his foot down and say that I just want to do my own thing. And I think that he has enough clout that James Gunn will probably respect that. And I think even just from a creative perspective, I think James Gunn is probably going to be understanding of that, right? Like, he probably doesn't want to come in and just shut Matt Reeves down. I think he probably doesn't want to come in and be super hands-on and interfere with his vision. So I think they're going to try it, and I think it could work. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think right now what we can say for certain is that the Batman Part 2 is going to happen. The only question is it going to be a movie that that puts the Robert Pattinson stuff in the DCU and really solidifies Robert Pattinson as the DCU Batman? Or are they going to try to do two Batmen at the same time? That's still the question. What is it going to ultimately end up being? Who knows? I don't know. I've just been yapping this whole time. But you yap too. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.